ورسوله الكريم أما بعد. Around this time of the year, most of the youngsters are preparing to go back to school, or they've already started going back to school. And when it comes to British Columbia, no one knows when school is actually going to start in the public school system. But nevertheless, it is the season of going back to school. Going back to school for another year of academic studies is basically embarking on a journey to the next level in your life. And a Muslim is a person who is always concerned about progress, and they're also concerned about what they built in life so far. It's about moving ahead, but it's also about preserving what you have. We want to move ahead, but we don't want to throw away what we've already attained, what we've already worked for. When it comes to our Islam, our deen, religious practices, faith, qualities, there's no exception. Moving into the next school year for a Muslim, it means that they are embracing the challenge to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, closer than they were in the previous year. And it also means that they're embracing the challenge to hold on to whatever deen, whatever Iman they already have. For those of you going into public institutions, schools, colleges, universities, the challenge of holding on to your Iman and the challenge of progressing in your Iman is a very serious one. Because the environment that you step into, the moment you step into that school and onto that school property, it is going to help you achieve crucial skills, essential skills for life, skills that will help you build your profession, and knowledge that's going to help you manage your worldly affairs. And that knowledge and those skills are important. On the other side, in terms of your moral fabric, the substance that you're made out of, your Iman, your taqwa, your deen, it's another story altogether. Is school going to help you attain that, preserve it, advance in it, or is school an environment that's going to challenge what you already have? Our schools, especially our public schools, are there to give us education and knowledge and training that is beneficial for worldly pursuits. But to be quite frank and to be quite honest, the environment in schools usually does not help us become better Muslims, does not help us maintain our deen, does not help us progress in our piety. It doesn't do any of those things for us. You have to do those things on your own. And you are going to have to look for opportunities that will make it easier for you to do that. And you are going to have to look out for situations, circumstances, and people that will take that away from you. It's not an easy challenge. It's not an easy task. You're surrounded by people largely who do not share the same set of beliefs and morals and values as you do. You're surrounded by people who, for the most part, do not have the same lifestyle as you when you go back home, or as your parents. And you're going to be around people who largely don't agree with the things that you do, and they're interested in something completely different and they want to take you along. So it takes a great deal of Iman, a great deal of confidence in your deen, a great deal of inner strength to resist all of this. At the same time, those of you who are going through the teenage years, approaching the teenage years, there's a lot of changes taking place in your body. Your mind is going berserk and you don't know what to make of it. The thing that keeps a Muslim stable is their Iman, and secondly, their connection to a stronger environment. If you detach yourself from the environment of the masjid and only keep yourself in the environment of school and around the people of school, you don't have anything to connect you back to your deen. And it's very easy to get carried away in the flow of the environment. In fact, it's a natural process to get carried away in the flow of the environment. The problem with that is that your youth, which is not just the time for you to develop essential life skills, it's also the time for you to develop your deen. It's also the time for you to develop your Iman. It's also the time for you to get your religious priorities straight. You are giving away chance after chance to build all of that. Everyone knows that a child that grows up in a state of malnutrition, they're not getting the diet that they need to grow and to develop. They're being deprived of essential vitamins and nutrients and minerals. They're being deprived of sufficient amounts of water and nourishment. They are being deprived of protection from harmful elements of nature, such as the sun and the heat, or possibly the cold. You know that this person is not going to grow up as healthy as the next person. You know that. And you only have one chance to grow. Human being only grows once. That's it. If during that period of growth you're deprived of certain things, then there are certain functions of your body that are just not going to be complete. Could be a function related to your brain, could be something related to a certain organ, certain system of your body. It's just never going to fully develop because it was never given the chance. It never had what it needed. The same thing happens to us spiritually. If we grow up being constantly deprived of all of the things that we need spiritually, the environment that we need, Iman, good people, the company of good, pious people, then even if we end up becoming religious later on in life, we do not have the stability and strength. We do not have the spiritual capacity of someone who grew up in a good, solid spiritual environment. So while youth is the time to develop life skills and all of those things, youth is also the time to develop your spirituality and your connection with Islam. And you can do it today much better than you will be able to do it tomorrow. So a Muslim youngster is very much focused on their deen, focused on their creator, their master, focused on their behavior, focused on their thought processes, and they're very much alert and aware of who they're hanging around. And remember, a believer is one who is willing to let go of anything that comes between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything and everything. A believer's loyalty is to Allah first. It doesn't matter how old you are. I don't care if you're 5 years old. A believer is someone whose loyalty is to Allah and His Rasul first, and after that to everything and everyone else. They will not allow anything to come between them and their deen. No matter how important it may seem, how attractive it may appear, doesn't matter. If it comes between me and this great objective of mine, I need to let go of it. And at the same time, they will not let go of those aspects of deen that are necessary. If deen is preventing them from doing actions A, B, and C, They'll let go of actions A, B, and C, but they won't let go of their deen. So whether that's in the form of behavior, in the form of the way you talk, in the form of who you interact with, your deen comes first. And through these halaqas and through these programs, we want to create a generation of youth that can go through life without compromising their deen and prove to the world that it can be done. Because it can. And it has been done. And we need to create a generation of youngsters who in turn can create another generation of youngsters that's even better than they are. Today the sacrifices might seem huge, but the fact is, the sacrifices that we make are very, very small compared to the sacrifices the Sahaba made. Very small. Pick up any Sahabi from the youth and look at how they swam against the current and the flow of society. Mus'ab ibn Umair radiallahu anhu is a young man. He's completely spoiled. He's from a very wealthy family. He's an only child, and his mother just spoils him. And some say he wasn't an only child, he also had a brother. In any case, he was wealthy, he was spoiled, he had everything. He wore the fanciest clothes, had the nicest shoes, wore the most expensive perfumes. And then one day he accepts Islam. And no one wants to talk to him. His parents hate him. They chain him up inside his house so he can't leave, punishing him. And he goes through this for a long period of time. He loses everything. And the same youngster who used to wear the most expensive clothes is now wearing a torn sheet. That's it. That's all he has. It was a big sacrifice. And this is the youngster that the Prophet ﷺ selected to go to Medina before he himself migrated to convey the message of Islam to the people of Medina. So this young man makes a sacrifice, but he also lays the foundation for Islam in the entire city of Medina, and from there Islam spreads across the world. And at a very young age, he ends up leaving this world. Just a couple of years, 3 years after Hijrah, he's gone. He's done his work. He has done his work to impact the world. Now, how are you going to impact the world? What plans do you have to impact the world? What changes do you want to see in the world? What things would you like to see different in the world? And how are you going to go about doing it? I'll tell you one thing. It's not going to happen from just hanging around with your friends. It's not going to happen from video games. It's not going to happen by sitting watching YouTube all the time. It's not going to happen by whiling away the time or letting precious minutes pass. It's not going to happen through any of those things. It's going to happen through applying yourself. And for some time, you are going to have to let go of many of the things that other people are enjoying every day. But that's the case with every achiever. Everyone who achieves in this world has to give up something. Even people that are achieving worldly targets and goals, they're living a life of self-sacrifice. Thomas Edison may have brought you the light bulb, but study his life before he came up with the light bulb. Read what kind of life he was. It was a worldly contribution that he made, but it was a very valuable contribution. But to get to that point, he had to give up everything. You think he had time for a social life? You think he had time to just play around and hang out? Absolutely not. He spent all of his time in his lab. He used to take 10-minute naps. When he would get overwhelmed with sleep, he would sleep for 10 minutes, get up and go back to his work, back to his experiments, back to his research. The people who contributed to Islam were no different. He used to spend all night worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in writing books, in researching, in doing work. And this is where there's a serious problem. Our lives are not half as productive as they could be. They're not half as productive. Because at a very young age, we take such people or icons as examples who themselves aren't doing anything. They're not doing anything. And we think that we can also spend life and be somebody important without having to do anything. Keep yourself, get in the habit of staying with people that are achievers. If you are hanging around people that have a lot of time on their hands, it means you're hanging around the wrong crowd. You cannot be a productive person while staying around, hanging around unproductive people. Before you make someone your friend, look at how they're doing in their studies. Look at how they're doing in their deen. If they're just hanging around, tomorrow you're going to be in that same position. There are thousands of youngsters across the country who could be doing perfectly fine in school, could be doing perfectly fine in life, but they're just letting time pass by. It doesn't mean they're bad people. They're just unproductive. They're living unproductive lives. They're not achieving anything. We need Muslims to be achievers. In order for you to be an achiever, you need to stay with achievers. Somebody who's achieving doesn't have time to... Yeah, everyone has time for recreation. Everyone should give time to their health, to freeing their mind. But seriously, speaking from a strictly worldly sense, the people that are making it big in the world are those that really, really put their nose to the grindstone while they're young, while they're studying. These are the guys that are inventing things. These are the guys that are getting all the good jobs, all the good positions. They're hard workers. They're not necessarily the smartest people, but they are for sure the hardest working people. And I see this in Muslim youth also. You're just hanging around. And I wonder why and how would someone who has some goals in life just be hanging around and walking around from here to there, from there to here? You know, it's the highlight of your day is you went to Tim Hortons and hung out. You really think you're going to achieve something like that? Or you met up at a friend's house and played video games? Or you went and watched a movie? Or you sat around and talked? There's a time and a place for those things. But if that's all you're doing in life, you're going absolutely nowhere. And if you see someone doing that, they're not studying hard, they're not moving forward every day, every week, every semester, they're not moving forward, they are the wrong friend. And this applies to Muslims, non-Muslims, to everybody. I don't care who they are. Even if they're a Muslim, but they're sitting around wasting their time, you can justify by saying, okay, well, at least they're Muslim. Yes, at least they're Muslim. But are they doing anything? And are they going to help you do anything? Somebody who's not achieving anything themselves is not going to help somebody else achieve something either. And we have this disease of talking big. Talking big and looking for shortcuts. There is a class of people, there is a type of people that talks big and looks for shortcuts, and they're about making it big in one shot. And they're looking for that one opportunity, that one window that's going to make it for them. And these are the people who are looking at the lives of people who've made it big, thinking that it was just by chance. So they're thinking of schemes, get rich quick schemes, make it big schemes, looking for shortcuts around everything. You know what? There are no shortcuts. You want the shortcut? It's called work your tail off. That's the shortcut. You want to make it faster? You want to make it bigger? Work harder. It's amazing how some of our youngsters are so deluded. They're intelligent. They're gifted. But they're so deluded about how things work in this world. And these are the same guys that are spinning their wheels 5 years later, 10 years later. At the end of the day, they're satisfied with a minimum wage job, and that's it. As long as I get my daily Tim Hortons coffee, and I get to watch my news, and I get to read my newspaper, and I get to play my video games, life is good. Wake up. That's not what life is about. Similarly, you have people that are dragging their feet, religiously speaking. They might be nice people, they might be good people, but if they are not worried about progressing in their religion, how do you think they're going to help you progress in yours? And this is where we have this other disease of always looking at people that are worse than us. If I am coming to the mosque, once a week, I'm a saint because so-and-so down the street, he hasn't come to the mosque for a whole year. I'm way better than he is. And that's what these are the conversations we have with our parents. Why don't you look at so-and-so who isn't even doing this much? But what have we been told by the Prophet ﷺ? In deen, the intelligent one and the fortunate one is the one who always looks at those people that are better than them in deen, better off than them in deen, and tries to be like them, and looks at those that are worse off than them in dunya and is grateful for what they have. We don't want a generation of lazies. Don't want a generation of people that aren't out there chasing real goals. We don't want a generation that's unproductive. I'm telling you, it doesn't just hurt the image of Muslims. It hurts Islam. Because tomorrow, somebody who hasn't done something to build their own life, can we expect from them that they're going to do something for Islam? Somebody who can't get their education in order, somebody who can't get their act straight, somebody who can't just take care of basic functions in life, they're going to do something for Islam? Absolutely not. We need a generation of achievers. People that are achieving things in dunya without compromising their deen. Sometimes our parents, they get it a little bit wrong. They say, no, we want you to progress in deen and dunya. Absolutely. But then when they see that for the sake of dunya we have to compromise our deen, they say, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's wrong. We will achieve whatever we can in this dunya without compromising our deen. The moment we have to compromise our faith, our beliefs, our practices, our morals, that's it. That's the end of the line for us. We're going to look for something else to do in terms of dunya. No job is more important than my deen. No amount of money is more important than the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No career is worth ruining my account in akhirah. And no friend is worth throwing away my religion for. Peer pressure works in very clever ways. Sometimes you're under peer pressure without even knowing it's peer pressure. Just try to pray salat, get up and pray salat when you're around a whole group of people, none of whom are praying. None of them are praying. You're the only one who remembers it's salat time. Try to get up and go and pray. It's not as easy as it sounds. They don't even know you have to pray. Forget about them stopping you. They don't even know it's time for you to pray. But just the fact that they're not praying is making it difficult for you to make that decision that I have to get up and pray. So you're gonna need a strong base of Iman, a strong supply of Iman, and you need a constant supply of Iman. And you will get that from the masjid, from programs like this, and from people that are serious about their deen and serious about their dunya. We're not telling kids to throw away dunya and to just throw everything away and that's it. Just go sit in the masjid. We're not telling people that. And we have no intention of telling people that. And in this society, frankly, that's not what's needed. What is needed are productive people, people who are taking on responsibilities and fulfilling those responsibilities. And we need youngsters that are active in the community. Now it's one thing for you to come and attend these programs. Alhamdulillah, it's great. It's a tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some of you are coming on your own, some of you are being sent by your parents, whatever the case is. But what we need is that all of these youngsters that are coming, sisters included, they become a motivational force for other people. You're motivating other people, you're bringing other people here. We don't become content just by seeing, okay, alhamdulillah, there was a good turnout in today's youth halaqah, we've done our job, let's go home. It's not like that. That's not how I think. As I'm talking to you, I'm thinking of how many thousands of youngsters are not here that should be here or could be here. What can you people do to bring them here so that everyone benefits, and instead of a few people's lives changing or a few people remaining steadfast in deen, the whole society is coming towards deen. How about that for a challenge? And everyone can do it because there are youngsters in every age group out there, and you're connected to some of them, you're not connected to some of them. It would be nice to see all of you youngsters, some of you have been coming here for more than a year, to sit down and make a plan of how you are going to bring other youngsters your age to these programs. There's so much happening under the Young Ummah banner, so many programs. I don't know of any other organization that's having so many programs anywhere in BC. No one is having so many programs. What we want to do is increase the effectiveness of these programs and increase, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, increase the scope of this program so that we are able to touch the hearts of all of the youngsters across BC. And it's not the job of my volunteers that they're going to do it. It's the job of all of you people who've been listening to this message now for so long. It's your responsibility. And inshallah, in the coming weeks, we will have a setup whereby you people put your minds together and you guys form the teams, form the groups, and come up with ideas to bring more and more and more and more people. I want this masjid packed with youngsters every single Saturday. I want it packed. Not because I like large numbers, but because I know what's happening to our youngsters out there. I know what's happening to their deen. I know what's happening to their dunya. Every day our youngsters are giving away their Iman, a part of their Iman, a part of their Islam. They're throwing it away for something that doesn't even matter. Every day our youngsters are falling into the temptations of that society presents. And every day our youngsters are getting distanced from their parents. I deal with parents, I deal with women, I deal with children, I deal with teenagers. I know what's happening in the homes. It's not pretty. You have youngsters that are abusing their parents. You have youngsters that have walked away from their parents. You have youngsters, can you imagine? They've kicked their parents out of the house. How about that? Somebody has a mom as a single parent. She's devoted her whole life to raising this son. She's done everything. She's made all the sacrifices. Didn't get remarried. Didn't go on with her life for the sake of this one son. And today, the son kicks her out of the house. You go, I don't care. I can't live with you anymore. So my dear friends, I think we all have a responsibility to fulfill. And coming into this new school year, I would like every one of you to think about how they can have a positive impact on the environment around them. We'll start with Muslims. We'll start with people who have the same beliefs as us. And inshallah, if we start with Muslims, our intentions are good and pure. We don't want anything from anybody. There's nothing that we want, that we need from people. We're reaching out to people for their own good. And you will see, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will use you for the sake of the guidance of many, 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 many people. But it's not sufficient for us just to come and attend ourselves and that's it. We want to have an impact on society. You start doing it now while you're young, you will be able to have an even greater impact when you're older. The other thing is that masjid. Keep yourself attached to the masjid throughout your school year. The masjid is your anchor. It's what keeps you grounded to your deen. Doesn't matter how nice of an environment you have at home and how nice of a group of friends you hang around, there is no substitute for the house of Allah. We need to have our presence in the masjid every single day. Every single day, as many times as possible. If you live close to the masjid, alhamdulillah. If you don't live close to the masjid, try to get some kind of a transportation, some kind of arrangement that allows you to come at least once every day to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no substitute for the masjid. Your friends could be there one day and not be there the next day. Your friends could be available sometimes and then unavailable, busy, occupied other times. But the masjid is always there for you. And the masjid is the house of every pious person. Al-masjidu baytu kulli taqiyyin. Every God-fearing person considers the masjid like he considers his house. That I can go there at any time and fulfill my spiritual needs there. So we would like you people to be very strongly attached to the masjid and bringing others to the masjid. And I want to see over the course of this year, you guys coming up with initiatives to bring more and more people to the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to see what you guys can do. It's not going to be just about lectures anymore. It's going to be about projects that you will do with us, you will do with each other. It's going to be about projects. It's going to be about having an impact on society. I've given enough lectures as far as I'm concerned. I've given you people have had a chance to hear more lectures than most youngsters across North America. And inshallah the lectures will continue to some extent. They will continue. But what's more important is the need, dire need that needs to be fulfilled, and that is reaching out to other youngsters who don't even have the deen that you have. All of you are at some level in deen. There are many, many youngsters who are not even there. There are youngsters your age who haven't been to the masjid for years. They haven't prayed a single salat. Still don't know how to read the Quran. Have no concept of right and wrong, halal and haram in Islam. They have no concept of what is acceptable behavior, what is unacceptable. They have no concept of what rights and dues of parents and elders are. They don't know any of those things. You people have at the very least had a chance to hear about these things. So how many from you, just give me a show of hands, how many of you would like to participate in such initiatives? MashaAllah. Excellent. There's a lot of work to do. And while we're putting these things together, while we're coming up with the structure for these programs, please, for the sake of Allah, don't compromise your deen just because you're going to school. Hang in there. If you need help, go to somebody who can help you. Go to someone who can mentor you. Go to someone who can keep you afloat. Don't just walk away and let go of everything and let the environment swallow you up, because that's exactly what it's going to do. It's already doing it. It's done it to hundreds and thousands of youth. You are no exception. You are no exception to the rule. If you give yourself to the environment, it's going to swallow you and it will make you into whatever it makes everyone else into. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help you and protect you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the courage and the Iman and the istiqamah to keep on going and progressing in your deen. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make you a motivational force for other people. This one point I really, really want to drive home. Stay around productive people. Stay around productive people. Stay around achievers. Be an achiever and stay around achievers. Don't be lazy and don't stay around lazy people. There is nothing for these people to do. There is nothing for them to contribute in society. People who are lazy will end up making other people lazy. People who are unproductive are going to end up making other people unproductive. Don't let yourself be seen just wandering around like a nomad, like a vagabond. Just wandering around. I got lots of time on my hands, so I'm just going to wander around the malls. I'm going to wander around here and there. I'm just going to hang out. Usama ibn Zayd radiallahu anhu was appointed the leader of his army by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam before he was even 20. Some say he was 17, some say he was 18 or 19, but definitely he was under 20. And under his command were people like Abu Bakr and Umar, a teenager. Mus'ab ibn Umair was a teenager when he went to Medina and brought Islam to all of Medina. Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu was a teenager when the Prophet ﷺ appointed him as the Grand Mufti of Yemen. He was a teenager. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Abbas, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abdullah ibn Umar, these were all youngsters, kids around Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They did not underestimate themselves. The Prophet ﷺ also did not underestimate them. He gave them importance. He gave them time. He gave them instruction. And look what they achieved. Mu'adh ibn Jabal was one of the younger Sahaba, but every Sahabi would treat him with so much respect as if he was everyone's teacher. Everyone treated him like he was everyone's teacher. And they knew that if there is an issue of halal and haram, it's Mu'adh ibn Jabal that's going to solve it for us. Abdullah ibn Abbas was just a kid when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed away. But he became such an authority in the tafsir of the Quran that great Sahaba would refer to him for his understanding of verses. And it goes on and on and on. You cannot summarize what the young Sahaba have done. It's unbelievable. So why is it that we just have to be a part of this go with the flow culture where we're not doing anything? You can do a lot, but you have to apply yourself. And part of it is keeping yourself with people that are doing something. I cannot stress it enough. I've seen too many perfectly capable and talented kids just go to waste. And you know what? 30 years later, they're still not doing anything. Anyone who talks big, talks about shortcuts, and tells you you don't have to work hard, they're not your well-wisher. They're wasting their time, they're going to waste yours. Doesn't matter who it is, even if it's a relative. Even if it's an older brother, it doesn't matter. This person is wasting their time, they're going to waste other people's time as well. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.